Do you have a preference? Mountains or beach? Or are you kind of undecided about what you prefer? Some people will spend weeks deciding between mountain places and beach locations, and they still end up booking the wrong trip. Not because they picked the wrong destination, because they never actually figured out what they wanted from the trip in the first place. And that's the part that most travel blogs skip. Hey, I'm Teresa from an Acre in the city, and after visiting all 50 states, I've spent a lot of time figuring out why some trips feel so incredible and why others feel surprisingly flat. Because the mountain versus coast debate, it does have an answer, just not the same answer for everyone. Once you know how to find your answer, trip planning becomes a whole lot easier. So why isn't there a universal right answer? One thing that usually surprises me with travel content, how often people try to declare something as a winner. Mountains are better. No, beaches are better. Everyone should visit this one destination. That's not useful, because the best destination doesn't necessarily mean the most beautiful one. It's the one that matches what you need from the trip. I've been to places that looked incredible on the map, and somehow it felt completely wrong once I got there. Not because the destination failed, because I was looking for the wrong experience. A week of PTO and a travel budget is a real investment, and when the trip misses the mark, it doesn't just feel disappointing. It can make you wonder if travel is worth the effort. That's why this question matters. The goal today isn't to crown a winner. It's to help you decide which one is right for you right now. So, what type of traveler are you? After years of road tripping across all 50 states, I've noticed a pattern. Some people come alive when they're moving. A new trail every morning, a scenic overlook before lunch, another viewpoint before sunset. To them, that's not relaxing. That's the whole point. Other people want the trip to slow down. They want to sit somewhere beautiful and stay there, read a book, listen to waves, watching the sunset without worrying about what's next. Neither approach is wrong, but they lead to very different vacations. Mountain travelers tend to love the feel of scale, the feeling that you're standing somewhere so big that your daily problems, they seem smaller. There's also a sense of movement involved also. You hike, you climb, you drive a winding path, you earn the view. Coastal travelers often connect with something completely different. The sound of water, the rhythm of waves, the openness of the horizon. It's less about conquering and more about absorbing. Those experiences live in completely different parts of your memory. I grew up in Michigan, surrounded by Great Lakes. I've watched freighters drift by Port Huron. I've spent time along rocky coastlines in Maine. I've stood beside waterfalls in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. And I've hiked mountain trails where the scenery felt almost impossibly large. They're all incredible, but they create very different feelings. Knowing which feeling you're looking for can change everything for you. Before we get into the decision framework, I want to mention something that might help, especially if you're traveling with family or friends. I create a stress-free road trip travel guide with simple tips to make trips easier and more enjoyable. Because a road trip with mismatched expectations can get stressful fast. You can grab that in the link below. So, does your destination match your activities? Here's where I think most travelers get tripped up. They start with a destination. Then they think about the activities. I think that's backwards. Start with what you actually enjoy doing, not what someone else says you should enjoy. What do you like to do when you're on vacation? If hiking, scenic drives, and exploring new trails excites you, mountains are usually going to win. Glacier National Park is a great example. One of my favorite memories there wasn't even the scenery. It was coming across a mule work crew along a trail, completely unexpected. That's the kind of thing that sticks with you. At the same time, I was surprised by how much traffic we encountered at Logan Pass. It reminded me that even incredible mountain destinations can feel frustrating if your expectations don't match reality. Now, if water is what helps you recharge, the coast may be a better fit. Kayaking, beach walks, watching the tide come and go, those experiences create a completely different pace. And I think there's something that often gets overlooked in this type of conversation. Great Lakes. People often think that coast either means Atlantic or Pacific, but the Great Lakes, they offer sandy beaches, lighthouses, dramatic seashores, charming towns, and incredible scenery with fewer crowds than most ocean destinations. Growing up around them taught me that water doesn't have to be salty to feel restorative. The next thing to think about is pace. Mountains reward effort. That's part of what makes them feel special, but effort still requires energy. If you're already feeling burned out, a trip packed with long hikes and constant movement might not be what you need. Coastal trips tend to offer more flexibility. You can do a lot, or you can do very little. The scenery is still there either way. Weather matters too. Mountain weather can be unpredictable. Snow can linger into the spring. Afternoon thunderstorms are common in the summer. Roads and trails can close. Coastal weather is often more predictable, but popular beach destinations bring their own challenges. Crowds, higher prices, limited availability, Neither option is automatically cheaper. Timing often matters more than the location, and sometimes choosing the right season is more important than picking the right destination. So let's talk about decision framework. Before booking anything, ask yourself these 4 questions. What do I want to feel at the end of this trip? Exhilarated or restored? Do I want active exploration or slower experiences? What season am I traveling in? And what decisions actually work well with that time of year? And finally, what is driving this trip? A specific experience or simply the need to get away? If you answer those honestly, the choice usually becomes much clearer. And there's something else worth remembering. You don't always have to choose. Olympic National Park gives you forests, mountains, and rugged Pacific coastline. Acadia National Park combines rocky shorelines with incredible hiking. The Great Lakes often give you forested landscapes, waterfalls, charming towns, and stunning waterfronts, all in one trip. Some of my favorite trips have been the ones that refused to fit into one single category because I stopped asking which destination looks best and started asking what kind of experience do I want to have. Mountains and coastlines aren't competing with each other. They're just different answers to the same question. What do you need right now? When you stop choosing destinations based on what looks impressive and start choosing them based on how you actually want to travel, the planning gets easier. The trips, they get better. And your bucket list, it starts shrinking in the best possible way. Because some of my favorite memories weren't the most ambitious trips. They were simply the most intentional. Now that you've figured out what kind of trip fits you best, watch this next video where I share some of the most underrated destinations in the US that you can visit in 2026. Because finding the right environment is only half the equation. The next step is figuring out where to go. Until next time, happy travels.